this is such gaslighting. We went through how many days after we saw what was written on the bullet casings. He was a right winger. He came from a MAGA family and he was MAGA. But went from days of that. By the way, here's just one example. Jimmy Kimmel, this is him on Monday refusing to acknowledge that he was a left winger, notwithstanding but the fact that we already had this information from the Utah governor that he was indoctrinated to left-wing ideology. We saw what he had written on the bullets. It's just one example of one prominent media figure refusing to accept that. Here it is in SOT 9.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Okay, so it's the right wing who's in denial about this young man's affiliations. By the way, he was not a kid. He was 22 years old. We went through that. Then it was made perfectly clear over the past 2 days that this kid, to use Jimmy's word, has been completely indoctrinated into left-wing ideology. His parents said that. His parents said he had moved farther left politically. He had gotten very into the messaging of the left wing around gay rights and trans ideology. And then we see what was written on the bullet casings. And now the message is shifting from the left to, well, we still might not know his motivation, but really, who cares?
Such specific text messages about the alleged murder, where it was hidden, how it was placed, what was on it, but also it was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. A very intimate portrait into this relationship between the suspect's roommate and the suspect himself, with him repeatedly calling his roommate who is transitioning calling him my love, and I want to protect you, my love.
Yes, breaking. FFC is considering taking actions against Jimmy, Destiny, and ABC after Kimmel told his audience Charlie was by a MAGA consecutive. Chair Carr said to Benny Johnson, "We can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to take actions on Kimmel, or there is going to be additional work for the FFC ahead." Carr calls Kimmel lies truly sick and say ABC and Destiny have a license granted by US and the FFC, and that comes with an obligation to operate in the public interest. This is coming just few hours after these guys sent out an apology. When you take a look at this, you will clearly see ABC reporter Matt apologized for his gushing review of Taylor touching messages with his trans lover. It was very touching in a way that I think many of us didn't expect. Godman said during the live broadcast yesterday, I believe you've heard this, the way he was reading the message like a love message. I don't get it. They have turned the whole situation into this.
I first started listening to Charlie in 2016. I started listening to him because I was on a search. I was looking at things around me and I knew that something was off. I knew that something wasn't right. So I grew up in a Democrat household. I remember when Obama became the first black president. And yeah, the first black president. But anyways, when that happened, I was at home and we was watching it on TV. And I remember like when we found out that he won, everybody in the house started clapping and like cheering. My mom, like she even got emotional, and I never thought my mom really cared about politics at all. So as I'm clapping right along with my family, I've always been this kind of person. I've always been the kind of person who I don't say much, but I observe more than I say. So I pay attention to things. So in that exact moment, as I'm clapping and cheering with my family, I immediately stop because I'm looking around and I'm like, why? I asked a lot of questions. I turned to my mom and I asked her, I said, "Mama, why are we happy? Like, why are we cheering?" And my mama said that Democrats have always been the party for black people. So I remember like I took note of that. But in my mind, I was thinking, well, it doesn't seem like they've helped us much, because I've seen a lot of patterns in my own family growing up, and not just in my own family, but in the black community as a whole. I pay attention and I see patterns that are not getting better, but are actually getting worse under the Democrat Party. So I took note of that, even though at this time I was in 11th grade and I didn't know nothing about politics. Fast forward to 2016 and Trump was running for president. There was so much negativity coming out of the mouth of people that I was familiar with that I was shocked. I didn't understand what was going on because
Yes, you look at a woman like this and say to yourself, how are so many hypnotized by the love? How do people still support the love? But then you see this, a woman who took the time to listen. Once she started listening to Charlie, everything started making sense. See, it's just one example out of millions. That is the kind of power he has. Speak calmly, truthfully, and always embrace God, his power, and the gift he had to teaching others exactly why he was. His power made him a trend. Now everybody is talking about him. You know, I'm impressed to actually see what this lady is putting out to counteract a lot of people, the mentality people have toward Charlie.
fast forward to 2016 and Trump was running for president. There was so much negativity coming out of the mouth of people that I was familiar with that I was shocked. I didn't understand what was going on because, I grew up hearing nothing but good things about Trump. I mean, we saw him in the music videos, the black music videos and everything. So I was confused as to why now are we being told to dislike this man? Why now are we being told that this man is a racist? The same man who was appearing in y'all music videos? The same man that y'all spoke so highly of? Something is not right. I started asking questions. And so because I wanted understanding, I went on a search. And that is how I came across Charlie. And it was through Charlie's content that I started watching Candace Owens, Brandon Tatum, and Terrence Williams. So through Charlie's content, I started listening to 3 other voices. All 3 of them were black, and all 3 of them were close with Charlie. That is how I started listening to their content as well. But I have not ever, not once, heard Charlie anything racist. Everything he said was spot on. Like, I can tell you that as a black person who's been black all my life. And I can tell you one thing for sure, what he was saying was straight up facts. It's just a lot of us don't want to hear it. And that's where the problem comes in, because we want to be stuck in this slave victim mentality, and it is so sickening. Aren't y'all tired? You ain't never been a slave a day in your life. Your ancestors wish they had the type of freedom that you have. And you sitting around here moping and complaining, talking about somebody got you oppressed. You don't even know what being oppressed means.
This is why I like people who do research. They take their time, study before they conclude. She didn't just believe on what the family was putting in her brain. She did her homework and came out with this. If you look at how she thinks right now, nobody can deceive this lady or struggle to change her mentality. Very impossible, because she knows exactly how these people run things. She understands the Democrat Party now. She understands why they hated Trump. And I'm glad that a lot of people are waking up. I want to appreciate her for putting out this video. I've been searching to see her handle, but I will do that on my next video. Thank you guys for always being there, sharing out my video. God bless you abundantly.
We want to update.
He's been one of the most divisive.
We don't feel like ourselves. We haven't felt like ourselves in a while. And I'm sorry to get political, but I'm just going to be honest. We haven't felt like ourselves since Barack Obama.
That hateful rhetoric.
That the enacted alone.
Not everyone took to his words or
This, who is constantly sort of pushing.
You're running for president, or you're running for one of the.
So you can see who these people really are.
Is there too. We're also, and I'm kind of saying,
Originally was repurposed fighting against